Okay, so then we move on to, we're still around the house and keys and stuff like that. I've got a daughter, she's now 14, and the next group are about becoming a mother, and the various moments, the stages, and these really helped getting that step back sometimes, be able to, you know, when you're in one of those situations, and just being able to almost poem it in your head, and some of them are reflections after. The first one's called Puffin. So, yeah, you need a bit of context here. So I separated from her dad when she was 3, and we did what I think most people do, alternate weekends, yeah, at mum and dad. Okay, so this is one of the weekends when she was with her dad, and yeah, okay, I'll do this. Puffin. Sunday, 6 p.m. The bell goes. Her voice floats up the stairwell. Then she's there, in front of me, beaming. Puffin picks out the top of her coat. Everybody here knows what shortbread is, don't they? Yeah, shortbread, yeah, Scottish biscuits, yeah. And, you know, probably the best or the most well-known are the Walker's ones. Yeah, okay, Walker's the make. Your toes. Your toes are like a row of little shortbread fingers. Walkers, obviously, lined up like that, plump and straight and buttery. Not sure how they got there. The last time I looked, there were 5 pink jelly beans. So now she's about 10. We go on holiday to Ithaca. Fall in love with Ithaca, apart from anything. And we meet a woman who my sister, a work acquaintance of my sister who was there. And my sister said, oh, when you're there, you're in the village next door, call Christina, she's lovely. And I'm always slightly hesitant about these situations, about forced socialisation. You know, oh, God, okay. But decided to do it, rang her up. And we met her, we had a drink, and it was nice. Okay, as we came along, I hadn't said anything. Francesca turned to me, the woman's called Christina, and she said this. So I take credit for this, and I call it a poem, but actually it's more or less verbatim what she said to me, okay? Coaching. Okay. So, if you want to get on with Christina, you've got to be a bit like her mum. You've got to sit up very straight and be a bit of a snob and not talk about anything for too long. And this was written about 2 weeks ago. Called Teenage Bats. In your cave, curtains drawn, door locked, 7 fireflies provide light. Periodically, there is an excursion, hooded, to the kitchen to fry up some bacon. Your palate is fixed on red meat these days. Okay, so we can take a little break there. Do you want to have a breather or ask anything? There's absolutely no need to, don't feel pressured at all. Just if any of them resonance with you particularly, or
Very domestic.
very domestic.
Yeah,
this is
and I
domestic.
like the details.
Yeah.
Actually, the first part I was thinking of Mrs. Dalloway.
Okay.
You know, I was very much in that novel as you were reading. I was thinking, oh, this is so like her noticing, London streets and also just small details.
The first poem.
The couple poems, the first group, before you got even the keys.
Keys.
Yeah.
I like the one with your last keys. Last key.
The Lost Keys.
Yeah.
I like that one. Do you lose keys?
I have 15.
You've 15 keys. Fantastic.
No, 50.
50. You got 50. Right. So you know this thing.
They all have different,
Yeah,
you
have
have
different personalities.
emotion. Yeah, start from the gate.
Right. Okay.
Get rid of the doors.
Yes.
Ah, there you
That's the
go.
way to.
Once someone breaks in, still,
Yeah.
what, you want to lose another key? Or
Yeah.
maybe hide them in
Yes.
places?
Yeah, the hiding.
Which
though.
one is most important? They don't want to lose.
And then you forget where you put them.
And then you will forget where you put. I do this the whole time.
That's the next poem, please.
That's the next poem.
Yeah, the hide,
Yeah,
secret
the
hide.
hiding. Oh, that's a good idea, actually.
No, I
When did
like the
put
idea that
them?
it was a conspiracy. The keys had a conspiracy against you. It wasn't your absent-mindedness. It was
No,
the
no,
keys
of course
themselves
not.
even before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you write poems before you gave birth? Before you
Not really. No. I wrote.
but not poetry.
No. I wrote myself out of situations and into situations as well. So I've always had a thing. I've got that thing there. About writing. I mean, my background, studied law at university and then gave that up and went into theatre. And people often say, oh, what's the connect? Is there a connection? And it's the words. It's about how much it can matter using one word and not another. And so that the wordy thing comes from maybe something before, but I mean, certainly I didn't grow up in a bookish house, not at all. So, and poetry I always found quite difficult to get into. It always felt like a slightly exclusive club. Until I got introduced to more modern poetry, hit you between the eyes. You think, my goodness, how much you can say. So, why do you ask that?
I'm a mom too. I'm a filmmaker, and I really feel like my body of work after I became a mom needed to shift and change. And also my language, which how to speak to your child, how to teach your child, how to use words. I think the way I communicated and moved through the world is different. As an artist, yeah.
I mean, I could say that about acting, but I couldn't say that about poetry because, to be honest, I wasn't writing before.
I like the poem about returning home after being away for so long and it feels different and you notice changes. So you're saying there's sort of international feel with different people from different areas and
Yeah,
home is always different places throughout different periods of your life, so it's quite interesting.
yeah. Do you live that sometimes when you come back from holiday?
Yes, yeah. So I've been in Greece for about a month now, going home tonight
Oh,
as well.
right.
So I'm just thinking as you speak about how that would change.
Yeah.
So
It takes a while, doesn't it, when you get back home to make it yours? And I don't know. What do you do to reclaim?
To make it home again.
Yeah.
Like, let's just live there for a while and
Yeah.
make it familiar again.
Do totally normal things and washing machine and those rites of reclamation.
Yeah. But yeah, that's true. How you just notice different things and pick up.
Yeah. So you're talking about the uncomfortable one, the ideal one. Are you also talking about the roads, the list of roads?
More the Agatha one, I think, but probably applies the road sport as well.
I think if you, some people have said after hearing the roads poem, they've wanted to go home and write down a list of all the roads that they've lived in. And I think that's such a lovely thing. If it has that effect. Because, I mean, some of those roads, you know, I kind of faked it as I read. So others, I'm still there. Some of them are dead in a way for me now, but others I still carry. And I love my home always. And closing the door, such a good thing.
I was wondering if the one about being uncomfortable in travel, if there's also a kind of inverse experience where it can actually free you to not feel that it's something that's entirely yours.
Yeah.
You know, I find it sometimes liberating
Yeah.
to feel like I'm a visitor in my own space,
Yeah.
that it's also ephemeral.
Yeah.
I've experienced that as I get older. I feel that more,
Yeah.
and it liberates me. Then I may swoop
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
go somewhere else, create
Yes,
home,
yes.
more space.
Do you create home quite easily?
No, I've lived in the same apartment for over 30 years, but I'm about to do something about that.
Oh, right.
But I do travel a lot, and I work in different places. So I understood that whole kind of psychology of returning and feeling, but I quite like feeling. I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to feel that I'm too much,
Yeah.
that it's too much my space
No,
in a way.
Whenever we travel and we come into a little, for a couple of days, sometimes mostly for a couple of days, in
Yeah.
Airbnb apartment, Zarina begins to design it. And I'm just waiting that to get out and buy a new lamp.
I'm
So
just ready.
all the suitcases are immediately done,
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
of them in the
Yeah.
cupboards,
It's true, isn't it?
making the house big.
Yeah.
I could live out of
The
the
suitcases.
box of the
Right.
suitcase for
Yeah.
ages probably.
Yeah. Putting jackets away, things that signal movement, putting them away, coats away. The rest would be a mess.
Yeah, I like the roads because it had this transient feeling that you were walking through them, and also that once you left, there was a permanency because they're still there, but you're not.
Yes.
That whole
Yes.
transient permanency,
Yes.
ethereal that you were
Yes.
talking about, I like that whole sense to the poem.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I'm thinking. It was really funny when I did a reading just recently. There was somebody in the audience that knew one of those roads and was going back there the next week, and I just thought, oh my God, you can't. You know, just the idea it still exists and it's still going on, even though I'm that transit is. Maya, you can
I'm
say
sorry, as
something.
I'm still tripping over the poem, the uncomfortable one, with coming back from holidays and trying to reclaim
Yeah.
your home,
Yeah.
and feel like it's home.
Yeah.
It happens to everyone,
Yeah.
but we chose to write about it. And so,
Yes.
in all of that, it's just a feeling that it's just for 5 minutes for most
Yes.
people.
Yes.
Until you start using it or
Yes.
sleep in it or
Yes.
like, I like that. You appreciate more, I think, when you come back from holidays.
Yes. I think sometimes we deny that moment of incongruence as
Yeah.
well. Instead of saying, oh, yeah,
I like
thank you. Okay. Going to part 2. Okay, so now we're moving to the Dark Ages. So, I mean, you know, there's that thing, isn't there, that are my poems too autobiographical, or, you know, and then I spoke to my friend about this, who's, you know, sort of kind of made it in poetry, and he says, well, they're all autobiographical, aren't they? Really, they're all. How can they not be? And so I defend myself, and I also say that, you know, I'm not particularly special, and that we're all going through more or less the same stuff, really. That doesn't go for obviously people, but us that are doing okay generally in life and have the basics, the basic needs met. There's something in poetry, I think, that's about saying, yeah, as there is in a lot of theatre, we're dealing with the same stuff, the same kind of emotional currency or stuff that's flying around. Next section is about, I keep picking them up, is about love. And the first part is about looking for love. I don't mean sort of brotherly, sisterly love, but finding someone, finding a special relationship with one person. And I wrote a series of poems, because I had quite a few years when I was looking, called Singular Exploits. And I gave them numbers. For no particular reason. I think they were chronological at the time. And so this one is Singular Exploits 3. It's called The Tuba. What is a tuba? I thought, as he explained, he played the tuba. A connection in Carrozza Sette on the intercity train Savona-Roma between Posti 21 Finestrino e 22 Corridoio, just as the journey moved out of Ostiense on its final leg to Termini. Conversation pulled out slowly, and then rallied and leapt and twined and plunged through the Berlioz for that evening, the venue, the concerts, 6 hours a day, opera in fact, oh, Genoa's Carlo Felice, and you, theatre, oh wow, do you miss London, and have you done Shakespeare, and geniuses, and how does it happen? Yes, once. I like Mozart, you mean like, yes, at the Marriott, yeah, for the UN, I know. Who's your favourite, but then, oh, clack, arrived. Journey over, annoyingly fast. Continue. Next scene in a French film, dark-suited, cutting a diagonal path through the Rome rush hour, him with his tuba in a black case ready for the concert, and me with my black corporate job wheelie. Then out front into a hellish, blasting evening rain. Our conversation burned on, shouted over the roar of background. You must go and see the Caravaggio in the French church. Oh, and in Poplar. Oh, I know it. Them. Yeah, amazing and gorgeous and so Roman. And don't miss Keats' houses. House. No, never been. You must. And have you seen what? But do you know? And do you like? And what about? And have you seen? And grapple and pull and look and pull and then turn. And laugh and look and look as the taxi drivers flagged us urgently through the pelting rain into our respective cabs. And then a silence in taxi with pounding heart. A dull date followed a couple of weeks later on the Passeggiata. The chat was dry, working with bits and pieces. The event an anachronism. The moment had passed. What is a tuba anyway? London. You dried my hair in that hotel room, between making love to me in the bath and making love to me in the bed, so I wouldn't catch cold. You took photos of every monument twice. Photos of squirrels in the park and the windows at Harrods. But you never took one of me. You put your hand on my back as we entered the auditorium in the theatre and put up the collar of my coat when we stepped out at the end into the cold November night. You walked business pace 3 meters ahead of me as we exited from arrivals and never looked back. Proposal. I'd marry you tomorrow if you turned up on my doorstep and asked. I dare to look in to the beyond in your eyes, cross the line, flout the fence you devised. I'd feel how it is to be held in your arms. I'd feel stillness, I think, and the soft weight of calm. Then my yes would come out in quite simple reply. And pink roses from nowhere would fall from the sky. I'd marry you tomorrow, you see, if at last you turned up on my doorstep and asked. The stole. Oh, those surely things, yeah. The evening stole. I see women out with their men, swathed in the luxuriant stoles of their own femininity that have been softly placed over their pretty shoulders. My own, I do have one, is nailed up in a box, and when she cries out, I stifle her fast. I talk loud, squash her down until they've gone past. No, you cannot come out and dance under this sky. Now stay where you are and don't make me cry. And she always just does as she has been told, goes back into the dark without another word. And then I continue on my grey male way, organising, planning, making sure of the day. Door, heavy, thin, old, feeling wasted, empty, bitter, but above all, feeling cold. Okay, so now we'll cheer up a bit. Gone on to the yellow section. Okay. And so this is when we're still with love, so this is finding love. Well, the first one actually is about when I thought I'd found love and I actually hadn't. But it was quite nice. Just to have a brief reprieve in the desert. And then the other two, yeah, the other two are about finding real love. Print's a bit smaller. Okay. Love at first shoe shop. Clerks at Stansted Airport. 50 minutes to boarding. The shelves glared white, and an arid, static heat quivered above the Saturday night mess of box and tissue. Cord, strap, red suede, black mink, slate pink stiletto stack wreaked their shoely havoc, and decision and clock veered wild to the walls as flush and nausea rose in a patent new buck, heel-gripping helix that locked my sense. Then from the heart of the hellish shoe-tree forest I heard a small, tight, plaited voice come out of me. I can't choose! Oh, sorry! Oh, God, no! Oh, how long have I got? All said at the same time. And he looked up and smiled and poured himself into me kindly and swayedly and lifted me high up through my inner soul, up through the fluorescent lid of the shop, way above the hysterical clamour of the pop sock and right foot sea. Tutto tempo che vuoi, he said. And that was it for me.
All the time.
Beginning. You have opened great lands in my heart, unfolded wide blue skies, and released soft oceans inside of me. You have gone right into every cell in my body, into the nuclei, and felt between the tiny branches of forest in there. You have climbed gently into my thought, and so comfortably into my step. You have split the atom of my moment, and whispered love into the space between my breaths. Morning after a night in Montage, I have the hot. Morning after a night in Montage, I have the red hot sunshine of melanzane alla parmigiana in my mouth. I have the kid leather paste of your brown back on my palms. I have the shadow of your ragged black curls hanging down in the blue neon moonlight. I have the Tinkerbell kisses that you found on my neck still dancing there. I have the full rich silence of waking up beside you in the mountains. All this I hold as I rise up into the sky on the neck of a great white cushioned dove and into the day. Final section is it's about travel. And the first two are about Greece. So the first one is called Tales from Kirapanadja. Does anybody know Karthatos? The island of Karthatos. And you know Kirapanadja?
It's the main church and square.
Well, it is, yeah. It's also
They have their big festival on the 15th.
yeah. It's also a little village on the west coast, yeah.
It's been a while since I've been there.
And so the first one is called Tales from Kirapanadja, and it's in 3 parts. 1. And Mars ran a red river down onto the sea that evening, which the long fish swam into with an ease that fell through the bottom of the cloth bowl of stars and came up from beneath the waves, making a canopy for the night, while the turquoise glass bowl of day slid down under the water to cool. 2. So could you pile more than 6 pebbles one on top of the other? Could you feel the soft arcs that the swallows made stroke the side of your face? Did you realise those gentle waves rolled up and down your back, day and night? And what about those 2 side-by-side black goat shapes by the water tanks that never seemed to move? 3. In that rock wall opposite, a myth had been trapped for many thousands of years. And now and then, a sound, half cat, half human, leaked out. Then, one evening, the whole myth ignited and prized open the wall, shot out from its rocky lair into the open, across the gorge, through the spruce trees, to remind us we were just passers-by and could not know everything, even though the decisive click of the backgammon counters might, for a split second, make us think we could. Money. I could quite happily disappear here, could quite easily turn to this wild place and say, okay, you are so beautiful and so appealing with your honest red soil and crackly vegetation, I can't think of anything better to do than to become part of you. And I give myself up, there and then, under the high sun, and anyone who was around would see me vanish. And then, about 20 metres to the left, down the hillside, a violet plume of smoke would rise up from the ground, and an instant olive tree would appear there, without so much as a sound. Or I could choose to dissolve into this sea of 100 turquoises. For today I swam with the anchovy as they threaded their way through the sunlight. And suddenly I noted they were moving with me, including me in their gang. And I could have just said, there and then, in that silky world, hey guys, I like this very much indeed. Can't think of anything much better than being part of your creed. Do you have any vacancies? Can I just stay here? And you know what? I think they'd say yeah. But the humans, on the other hand, here on the middle finger, do not open themselves up easily to the outsider. It says in the blurb, and it's absolutely true, they're really not interested in us, me or you. I think they're humbled, maybe, by their rugged red land and their anchovy. Now let's go to Norway. Do you know what worry people are? No. Oh, worry people. Nobody ever knows what. I thought everybody knew what worry people were. Okay, so part of the Mayan culture these things, and they're little tiny dolls that the Mayan people talk to before they go to sleep.